The Detroit Lions announced their Week 9 roster moves, and we got a bit of an update to go along with those roster moves. This is coming from the Detroit Lions official Twitter page. Says Lions game status update. Defensive tackle, we knew this yesterday, Mekhi Wingo ankle and running back Sione Vaki knee have been downgraded to out for Sunday's game at Green Bay. Will not travel with the team. Now, we already knew that that was going to be the case. Usually when you're doubtful, you are not going to play, but there's a chance. There's a chance that you could come through. Now, I like that the Detroit Lions, they had to get this list in, and then you have tomorrow. They have until tomorrow, 90 minutes before game time. So you're talking about 2:55 to officially announce somebody, whether they've been downgraded to out. If you remember a couple weeks ago in his Rakestraw tweet to Hemi, right before that official last report was supposed to be in, and he was downgraded to out. So they still have an opportunity to do that. Now, that is a bad sign for the Detroit Lions defensive line. But here are the moves that they are making for the game for Green Bay. Lions announced the roster moves. Release tight end Parker Hess. Sign linebacker Abraham Beauplan and defensive lineman Chris Smith to the active roster. That's a very intriguing situation. To the active roster. Don't forget, Abraham Beauplan was waived at the beginning. He was cut. He was cut at that 90-man cut down. He was brought back a few weeks later, and now him and Chris Smith are officially on the active roster. And to make room for one of those guys, because remember we had one spot left, to make room, we got rid of Parker Hess. They released him. I'm assuming he's going to try to come back to the practice squad. Here's another thing, though. We elevated tight end Shane Zylstra and linebacker Al-Qaeda Muhammad from the practice squad to the active inactive list. This is Shane's last elevation. So he will have to be cut or waived. I can't remember how many years he has after this game. So he probably will join Parker at the end of this game. The Lions will have no choice but to do that or bring him to the active roster. Now, for everyone that is talking about linebackers and we don't need a linebacker, this guy is a linebacker who rushes the passer. So his designation right here tells you that it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what position you play on paper. It doesn't matter. So this is kind of a big deal. Shane will have to get waived or brought up to the 53-man roster after this week. This is Muhammad's second elevation. Again, they are not, for the second week in a row, not going with Isaac Ukwu because the next elevation will be his last as well. We have not seen Mitchell Agude at all this year. So this is kind of a tough musical chair situation for the Lions, because if you have under 4 years vested, something like that, you have to get waived. You can't just be cut. So if you're waived, we saw it happen with Trevor Nowalski last year. They took a chance. They waived him. He was poached or picked up, claimed off waivers, and went to Arizona. So that is probably going to happen with one of these guys if they have less than the 4, if they indeed cannot be cut. Waived, you're playing a very dangerous game, and they did it with Trevor. And I'm assuming they wish they would have made a spot for him on the active roster, because you could probably cut a guy with those 4 vested years to bring a guy up, let him see what's going to happen. Then he can come back to either the team or the practice squad. So it's getting intriguing, man. Don't forget, yesterday, Broderick Martin, we saw Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell didn't seem too sold on whether Broderick could come back and help. He said where he's going to be, we got to see how he's going to be and how can he help us. Will he be an impact, or is it better to just put him up for the year and use somebody who will be? So I'm not sure about that. So, and then don't forget as well, eventually Emmanuel Mosley will return. Eventually John Kaminsky. I'm looking for John Kaminsky next year. I'm sorry, next month, and possibly next year for the playoffs. So Shane Zylstra, last elevation. Then he will have to be waived or cut. And Muhammad's second one. Mitchell Agude, no elevations yet. Isaac Ukwu, one left. It's going to be a big deal. Jordan Love is a go. He will be playing tomorrow. The elements are not supposed to be that great. One of the reasons that I told myself I would check to see what the weather will be before I even attempted to go, because I know myself, I'm not sitting in the rain in November. I'm not sitting in the rain ever, but in November, it's a bad. I'm going to try to go to Chicago next month if the weather, it can be cold. December in Michigan is not that bad. It's January, February that it really started to get cold. So if you guys remember, for the first playoff game against the Rams, it was freezing. It was like 5 degrees. It was so cold. Nose hair, mustache hair, all that stuff was freezing. And then one of the reasons I don't do that, I know we getting kind of off, but one of the reasons I don't do that is what happened to those guys at the Kansas City Chiefs game. It was that same weekend, and it was a cold streak going out, and those guys, some of them had hypothermia, some of them had to get limbs and extremities amputated because they went. I know I can't handle that. I had frostbite when I was younger. My hands get cold super easy. Now, I'm not going to put myself in that situation. So that's that. But let me know, guys. What do you think, man? What do you think about Shane Zylstra? Do you think he'll make the active roster? I think he's going to be cut. Mohammed, I want to see what he can do. And also, I'm going to keep an eye on James Houston. I think James Houston can be he's going to be an odd man out once guys start coming. And you might not, next week, like, we're done with the bye weeks. So next week, if they decide to elevate Al Quaiden, that means that they're going to have to decide what to do with him. And it's a chance that you're willing to take. Now, what would happen is James Houston would have to get waived, and then you would have to hope he clears waivers. So let me know your thoughts, man, in the comments below. Big game for the Detroit Lions tomorrow, but that is the roster moves. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section. Remember, this channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. So take care of yourself and each other and make smart decisions. And as always, go Lions.